that, or did you get it?
That was embarrassing, folks. There's no way to spin it. The Golden State Warriors lost the game they absolutely should have won. Ryan Leong of Associated Press Radio, among many media outlets, joins me live from Chase Center next. He just interviewed Steve Kerr, the man that I'm going to be pointing a finger to big time. We're going to break it all down next. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next quarter? Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Check them all out today at NissanUSA.com. You can follow Ryan Leong again with the Associated Press, among many media outlets, on Twitter at his name. It's super easy, Ryan Leong. You can follow me over on Threads at Dog Wild. Ryan, that was a colossally disappointing game, embarrassing. That Bulls loss was bad enough. They've now lost 2 games in a row against 2 mediocre teams. Your immediate reaction, and how the hell are you doing live from Chase Center? I can hear that. Yeah, there's something going on. Was it one of those like marketing promo things they're doing on the court behind the scenes? What's going on behind you over there, man? How are you doing?
Yeah, good. My friend Catherine Leong is doing some kind of shoot-around drill or something. But this is why you had me live instead of me being sitting on my couch at home, right? I mean, come on, you can't beat this.
No, you can't. It looks almost. I was telling you before we started recording, it almost looks fake. That's how good it looks. I know you're there live. Ryan, man, let's talk about this game, though, dude. This was frustrating on a lot of levels. I'll start with this. And I don't know if you had a chance to ask Steve Kerr this. I know you just came back from the post-game conference. I was giddy and excited before this game started because there was a change in the starting lineup. Like, Stephen Curry's out. Great news on that front. His ankle injury is not serious. He's hopefully going to be back. He's only going to miss one more game. If everything goes according to schedule, he's hopefully going to be back next Wednesday on the road against the Mavericks. But regardless, there was a change to the starting lineup, and that change was something I've been clamoring for a long time. Trayce Jackson-Davis as your starting center. Draymond Green moved to the power forward position. Kuminga moved to the small forward position. Brandin Podziemski stays as your shooting guard. And then when Steph comes back, he's your starting point guard. But for tonight, it was Chris Paul taking his place. The game was tied 9-9, and Steve Kerr did not give this lineup not even 5 minutes before. I don't think we ever saw those 5 together again on the floor. Again, the score was tied 9-9. And then Steve Kerr, doing what Steve Kerr does, pulls out, I believe, Trayce. He pulled out Kuminga, and I forgot who the third person was he pulled out. And then the Warriors quickly lost the lead, and the game was gone. The game was done from the beginning pretty much, but at least it was 9-9. It was tied, and you didn't give that starting lineup a shot at all. What were your thoughts on that, and what did you and Steve Kerr talk about during the post-game presser?
Well, I did ask the question that you mentioned right there, and he kind of was a little confused by how I asked it, but he did get a good follow-up from Anthony Slater, and he says that the game dictated that he had to make the change when it was 9-9. That's what he says.
Yes, dude. That's what he always does, man. These lame, that's not an answer at all. Anyway, go ahead.
The question, actually, I got to be honest. In the future, I kind of wanted to ask a question, which I would have thought it would have been, how disappointing was this homestand? You had a chance to go 2-1. Okay, you're 3-0 is not guaranteed, but that's okay. I'll ask next time. But 3-0 is not guaranteed. 2-1 was a definite possibility, and then you end up 1-2. And this is a team that is now 17-17 at home. Okay, they have basically, for lack of a better word, they pissed away their home record. That's inexcusable. They had to win this game. This game hurt. I mean, I listened to the Warriors audio network, rather, as you call it, in the building. And Tom Tolbert himself personally said that this one hurts. The Bulls loss was tough, but it's understandable, and I agree with that. The Bulls are a much better team than San Antonio. San Antonio coming into the game is 13-50, okay? I mean, they have no Wembanyama. You can't beat this team without Wemby. I know the Warriors don't have Steph, but come on, that's a huge drop-off when you don't have Wembanyama. When you don't have Steph, it shouldn't be that big of a drop-off for the Warriors, and yet it was. So I think, I'm sorry, for lack of a better word, they pissed this game away.
Yeah, they did. I wholeheartedly agree. Did you get a chance to ask Steve? Was that the only question you asked, or I thought you were going to ask him as well if this was the worst loss of the year? Did you ask?
I didn't get the microphone back in time. It's all good, but
it's all good. It's okay. I mean, look, thanks for asking that question.
Sure.
In your opinion, Ryan, and we're going to get into the nitty gritty of this because I took down a lot of notes. There's a lot that I thought went very wrong in this game.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that Steve Kerr, just abandoned his starting lineup not even 5 minutes in. But in your opinion, what went wrong in this game, man? Why did the Warriors lose to a mediocre, below them Spurs team?
I think they lost because, quite frankly, they didn't play any defense. I mean, they basically let the Spurs do whatever the heck they wanted, and that was pretty obvious from the jump. I'm going to find the stats here in a minute, but I know that as far as threes go, here we go. The Spurs were 17 of 33 from deep. That's 51.5%. Let me see. I go down the stats here at different things. I mean, what was it? Points in the paint. The Warriors had more points in the paint, but it didn't seem like it. I mean, the Spurs had 48. The Warriors had 58. But it just seemed like the Spurs did anything they wanted, and Kerr did admit to that the Spurs did whatever they wanted out there on the floor. That was obvious. I mean, they just never had it in this game. And even when the Warriors could get within 10 points, before you knew it, Spurs are back up by 13, by 15, up by 20, 21 points. I mean, it was just pathetic. Yeah. I mean, there's really no excuse for this game. I don't know however you want to put it, but the team should have, the loss to the Bulls should have been enough of a wake-up call, and it wasn't.
You weren't the only person, and you and Slater weren't the only people interviewing Kerr. What other questions were asked? Did Steve Kerr give a reason himself?
He was asked by Monty Poole if this was like how much this one hurt. He was asked that. So, yeah, that was another good question asked. But, I mean, Kerr spent a lot of time, talking, so there weren't that many questions, but the one that Slater mentioned was a follow-up to your question about, why you change your starting lineup when you're not 9-9, tied in the first quarter.
It's like, what? Why? Yeah, what's the point? Why even go to that if you're just going to abandon it so fast? I mean, I don't blame Trace Jackson Davis for this loss. Yet, he was sporadically playing. There's a lot to break down here. You brought up the fact that the Spurs shot lights out tonight, and just to add to that, the Spurs shot 51.5% from three. That is absurd in general for any team to shoot that well. But when you look at the players who shot at lights out, Champagny, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Not sure. Yeah, but that's could be.
Was 5 of 8 from beyond the arc.
Right.
Sohan, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. Branham, 3 of 6 from beyond the arc. Keldon Johnson, 4 of 9 from beyond the arc. Devontae Graham, a perfect 2 of 2. The Spurs have never shot above 50% from beyond the arc all season until tonight. That indicates just how much of an anomaly this was. This was not what the Spurs normally do. The Spurs, in fact, entering this game were 29th out of 30 teams in three-point percentage. Look, I've been bringing this up a lot. It wasn't just this game. It wasn't just the Bulls game. It stuck out to me in that Celtics game when Draymond Green was stagging a lot off of Jaylen Brown, basically daring him to shoot threes, and Jaylen Brown made them pay for that strategy.
Right.
But I'm seeing more of it, man. Like what I saw tonight, and I'm seeing this a lot lately, is the Warriors' perimeter defense breaking down spectacularly. And it's not like rocket science. I'm literally watching Andrew Wiggins standing there, not giving a lot of effort to defend the three. Draymond Green is letting players shoot threes. Klay Thompson, even though he had some plays tonight that were good defensively, and we're going to talk about him in a second because he was one of the only players doing anything. But then in the fourth quarter, when the Warriors are rallying, giving a one last shot, he was MIA. I didn't understand that either. But the point is, the Warriors' perimeter defense has been failing lately.
Yeah.
And other teams are just shooting wide open threes. In today's game, I don't know what the excuse is for that. What are you seeing, man? What do you think is going on there?
No, I agree. And the funny thing is, we talked to Kerr about that. I even asked him, as one question in the pregame, how a guy like Larry Bird never dominated from three-point range, because Larry Bird, as you know, is one of the all-time greatest shooters in the history of the NBA. But he took very few threes in his career. And that's just part of the evolution of the game, as Kerr put it. I agree with that, but knowing that, why aren't you doing something defensively to kind of help out with that a little bit? Because the Warriors did really nothing. I mean, they played matador defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, great call. Great call. I haven't heard that in a long time. We got Ryan Leong is coming to us live from Chase Center. We've got a lot more to bring with you. If you don't mind hitting the mute button during the ad reads, just because that noise behind you is, it's awesome ambiance, except for when we're at a commercial break. Unless you want to jump in at any point, but we got a lot more to discuss. There was a lot that stuck out to me. I write notes watching every one of these games, and when it's a good game, when it's a winning game, my notepad is borderline empty. In a game like tonight, I've got pages of stuff that are just sticking out to me, and I'm going to bring those up with you, Ryan, and the audience as well. But let's give some love to our sponsors first. And our first ad read tonight is courtesy of Nissan. You drive a Honda, is that correct? Right?
Yes, I just had to unmute myself. Yes, I drive a Honda.
Sorry about that. That was mine. Well, look, Nissan is, in my opinion, there's a few car companies out there that really come through when it comes to durability, being long-lasting. You never having to worry about taking your car to the mechanic and all those extra expenses. Your ride's one of them, Ryan, but so is Nissan. These are fantastic car companies, and Nissan, I used to own a Pathfinder. And if you're the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further, if you ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner, our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Exactly what a Bay Area driver is typically seeking. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. And as I've mentioned before, the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder, I used to own a Pathfinder. I loved that car. I had a name for it and everything. She was my baby. And the Pathfinder has room for up to 8, an expansive cargo capacity, an advanced available 4x4 capability with 284 horsepower and up to 6,000 pounds towing. When adventure calls, the Pathfinder is there to answer. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Ryan Leong is free and available on Twitter. You can follow him there at Ryan Leong. Coming to us live from Chase Center. Unmute yourself, man. Give us an ambiance again. I'm sorry for asking that. Just leave that thing on. I love the fact that your connection is clean. I might start making appearances from there, man. I've always hesitated to do shows from Chase Center because I didn't think the internet connection would be strong enough.
We got plugins. We got cables, so we're good. Come on now.
I might start joining you there, man. But for now, again, we're talking about this Warriors game that was just brutal. 126-113. The final score. One thing that, and look, to me, this game tonight was on Kerr. There were a lot of mistakes he made. I just want to quickly bring this up. There isn't much to discuss, although if you want to add anything to this, obviously you can, Ryan. But I've been critical of Kerr this season for his use of challenges. There are a lot of moments where I feel like he should be using them, and then he saves them until the end of the games where he lets his emotions take over, and then he uses them when he just feels like it's the right moment. Like, never mind whether or not you actually should be using your challenges. And the reason why I bring this up tonight, there was a moment in the second quarter where Jonathan Kuminga was called for, it was like a reach, I think. Anybody watching it on TV could tell it was clean. Kuminga and Dre were pleading to Steve Kerr, challenge, please. Anybody could see that there was no contact made. It was a BS foul. Steve Kerr lets it go. There was another play in the fourth quarter where there was this time it was a blocking foul on Kuminga. If they were going to call anything on that play, it was in the backcourt. It should have been a charge. I thought that was a perfect moment for a challenge. We saw nothing. And then Kerr challenges a Trace Jackson Davis block later in the game, not because he saw the replay and it seemed obvious, but just because he didn't want the momentum to change and he thought the timing would be right. That goes against the entire logic of challenges. You're doing it when the refs blatantly miss a call. Do you have any thoughts on Kerr's use of challenges this year? Because I feel like now that you have two of them, you should not be so afraid to call them early in games if it's obvious. Any thoughts on that before we move on from the subject? It's not something you should be debating much, but it's sticking out to me.
Well, I got to be honest. I haven't really noticed when he does use challenges, so that should answer your question right there. So, yeah, I but I saw tonight, for instance, how Popovich did use his challenge when I guess he thought Draymond tipped that ball in, and he's out there in the court, and he's like, with the refs, he's like going at it. He's like right in the ref's face and challenging the call. I can't remember. Did the call go in their favor? I can't remember.
It was weird. I think the Spurs technically lost that challenge, but the challenge did change the call. So it was almost like it was a win and a loss. It was like a push. But you're right, man. It's just Popovich again did call that challenge early in the second quarter.
Yeah,
and it did affect the game. But one thing when going back to Kerr that I saw on the stat sheet, and I observed this in the first half, if you had to guess, Ryan, without looking at the stat sheet, which three players on the Warriors do you think led the team in minutes in the first half?
I'm guessing Kuminga and let me think. Gosh, I want to say maybe Podziemski and like Chris Paul.
Okay, well, you got two of the three correct. Chris Paul, Brandin Podziemski were your 2 minutes leaders. And then third was Andrew Wiggins. So it was Podziemski, Chris Paul, Andrew Wiggins. Do you think that's right? Should those three players be getting the most minutes for the Warriors in the first half of play?
Yeah, I know he's been sticking with Wiggins, and Wiggins has had a tough year this year. He's not been the same player. I mean, I know he missed some time with personal issues again, but I don't know. He's been kind of like a weak link is the best way to describe Andrew Wiggins' season this year.
No doubt. And again, the minutes thing, this is the power of a head coach. He's a gatekeeper when it comes to minute distribution, right? That's where his power, among many things, right? That's like where he holds so much power. So when it wasn't Kuminga was, I think, 6th in minutes. Draymond Green was 4th in minutes. Moses Moody was 5th in minutes. Klay Thompson, who I've been critical of this year, I've never once asked him to push for a trade or anything like that, but I did think the move for him to go to the bench was the right call. But in a game like tonight, and we're going to bring up the fact that the San Antonio Spurs switched to a zone defense in that second quarter, which really threw a wrench into the Warriors' offense, right? They didn't know how to handle that. That's where Stephen Curry was sorely missed. But that's also the moment where Klay Thompson could really be used. On a night where the Warriors were struggling to find points, you would think Klay Thompson, their best shooter outside of Steph, would be out there getting minutes. But no, Klay was 7th in minutes in the first half. Your thoughts on Steve Kerr's minute distribution as a whole, Ryan?
I mean, as a whole, he's done a pretty good job with it, I would say, because a lot of the guys aren't even playing, 30 minutes per game. I mean, even tonight, the leading guy was Podziemski. He just had 30 and a half minutes. And everybody else was fell under that. Jonathan Kuminga, 30 minutes, 21 seconds, and everybody else was under that. The next highest guy was Chris Paul with 29 minutes played. I think he's done a good job when it comes to distributing minutes. The problem has been, I don't know, just whatever's going on the floor. Like I said, the defense tonight was absent. It was just was like magic. It was like a magician defense. There was just nothing there. Poof, it's like I didn't see anything.
It was, but on a night like this, I thought Klay should actually be playing more minutes. What are your thoughts on Podziemski, man? I'm starting to see his name come up a lot as a polarizing figure among the fan base. Some people are perfectly fine with him being a starter, getting these heavy minutes. Other people, I'm not seeing a lot of people necessarily hate on him, but a lot of fans are critical of the fact that he's getting as high of a minute allocation as he's getting. What do you think he's getting the right amount? Is he getting too much? What are your thoughts there?
Well, tonight he certainly had a lot of minutes with not a lot of production. I mean, he had 30. Again, he was the leading minutes getter, 30 minutes and 37 seconds. He was 2 of 7 from the floor, 1 of 1 from 3, 3 of 4 from the line. He had 4 offensive rebounds, 2 defensive, so 6 boards, 7 assists, 8 points. But he was a -8 in his plus-minus. So for 8 points and 30 minutes of action, that's bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's bad production. So, and then the game against the Bulls, he misses that reverse layup. He just didn't finish it, right? I mean, that was a backbreaker because I don't know if they're going to win the game, but at least it ties the game. But when he misses that reverse layup, the game's over. Game over right there. So, I mean, he's going through his growing pains, but it's funny because I think of Kerr as a guy who likes veterans, but he does like Podziemski, and he's giving Podziemski a lot of playing time.
He likes him a lot. He's quickly
maybe he sees. You know what I'm thinking? Maybe he sees something in Podziemski that reminds him of how he pletted as a player.
I know. I always wonder if that's the case, man. That's bad coaching. Like you can't be like letting sentimentality, favoritism. That should not be impacting your coaching decisions.
Yeah, but come on. Let's be honest though. What coach doesn't have that kind of sentimental favorite though?
I don't know, Spoelstra.
Maybe, but I'm just saying overall in the history of coaching, there's always somebody who's got to be a favorite somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's fair, but usually the favorites are the best player, right?
No. There's usually some guy who's like a good bench player, a fan favorite type of guy that the coach also likes. That's what I'm talking about.
But I've never seen that with another great coach. Wait, let me
finish my point here. So, but it reminds me of like when Steve Kerr was playing, and he was a guy that Phil Jackson liked, and he'd use him in certain situations. Greg Popovich would use him in certain situations.
Certain situations.
Certain situations.
Not 30 minutes. Not 30
minutes. I agree. I agree with you on. Yes. I'm just saying you've seen favorites, but they usually do get played in specific situations, not the leading minutes getter.
Absolutely. And Kerr was a clutch shooter in his defense, and the dude could definitely shoot the ball lights out. He's still among the all-time leaders in three-point percentage and free throw percentage and all that. Anyways, we got a lot more to talk about. Again, the Warriors lose a tough one, 126-113. Ryan Leong is joining us from Chase Center. Yes, that is the actual arena right behind him.
That's right. This is not a virtual background.
It is not a virtual, even though it looks that clean. No, Ryan is actually at Chase Center right now. But we're going to give some love real quick to our other sponsor for the evening, and that for tonight is LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is, and more specifically, LinkedIn Jobs. I always tell my students my day job besides this program is teaching young, bright minds who are, a lot of them hoping to be media professionals themselves someday. And what I tell every student of mine is, if you're not on LinkedIn pursuing jobs, developing relationships, networking, building your profile, you're behind the curve, because that's where so many of the headhunters are. That's where so many of the job seekers are. And it's where all the talent is. So if you're on the other side of the coin, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the right tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Ryan, behind me, if you're watching and not listening, you can see Chase Center behind him. The Warriors routinely post jobs on LinkedIn. It's the absolute place to go. And look, LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you, Locked On Warriors, your first listen every day. For the everydayers at the latest, we're back at it Monday. Guess what? The Golden State Warriors are playing the San Antonio Spurs team again in 2 days. This time the game's going to be in San Antonio. Even when the Spurs are a horrible team, that is always a tough place to play. So we're back at this at the latest again Monday night. And Victor Wembanyama might play in that game. Stephen Curry will not. He's going to be reevaluated Tuesday, with the hopeful expectation being he's going to be playing on Wednesday as the Texas swing continues against the Mavericks. Right now, I got Ryan Leong with me. You can follow him on Twitter at Ryan Leong, coming to us live from Chase Center. You know, the Warriors, after this loss, they have not been doing so great at home this year. Where you're literally at right now, Ryan, the Warriors following this loss tonight are 17-17 at home, 16-13 on the road. This is the worst year at home for the Warriors since 2020, and it's the second worst home record under Steve Kerr in his entire career. The only other year being worse was that disaster 2019-2020 season. Ryan, what's going on there, man? Like, is it just a coincidence that the Warriors aren't doing so great at home? What, in your opinion, why are they not dominating like they typically do under a Steve Kerr leadership?
Well, you saw it tonight. I mean, tonight's game is a microcosm of why they're not doing well at home. I mean, this is a game we talked about that, again, I know Victor Wembanyama is a great player, but the Warriors should have been able to beat this team without Wemby and even without Steph. I just don't see how the Warriors could have lost this game, and yet they did. They let the Spurs, again, just like control the tempo, control everything. And when you do that on your own home floor, there's no surprise as to why the Warriors, you know what? When you actually look at this loss, it's almost a miracle the Warriors aren't under 500 at home.
I know.
But if they keep this up, they soon will be.
I don't get it, man. They beat the Bucks just 2 games ago. That was the feel-good game of the year. And they followed that up with losing to the Bulls, losing this game to the Spurs. I saw, I mentioned this earlier, and I want to just add on real fast. In the second quarter, you saw Greg Popovich do a very common switch. He adjusted his defense from man-to-man to zone, and that flustered the Warriors' offense. The only adjustment I saw from Steve Kerr to counter that was bringing in Dario Saric. Logically made some sense because Saric, once upon a time, could hit 3-point shots. He was a decent outside shooter. That shot has just bailed on him over the last month or so. The why of that, who knows, could be a slump. I have no clue. But that's the only adjustment I saw. And the Spurs just kept going to that zone. And it wasn't until the fourth quarter when Jonathan Kuminga decided, F this, I'm just going to take over. And Kuminga finished this game 10 of 17 from the field. He was getting trips to the free throw line. He's one of the only players on this roster doing that, which is all the more reason why I get flustered when Steve Kerr plays these games where Kuminga only played 12 minutes in the first half when they needed him the most. And so, anyways, Kuminga says enough. He takes over, finishes the game with 26 points. Did only have 3 rebounds, of which the number was higher considering the Warriors were out-rebounded in this game, 49-39. What did you see, though? Like again, when you see a zone defense like that, it means 2 things. You're going to have open looks outside. And again, that's where I was very confused in terms of Klay Thompson not getting more minutes in this game because he was one of the only guys that was beating the Spurs for courtesy of his outside shooting. But the other thing is you have holes in the interior. All you got to do is make a couple extra passes and you're going to get an open look, or you can just attack yourself. And unless they collapse the paint, you're going to get your shot. And Kuminga was taking advantage of that, but again, it was too late. What did you see or did not see with that zone adjustment? Because I thought that's what killed the Warriors ultimately in this game tonight. Your thoughts?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like certainly the Warriors had their opportunities. I think what I noticed too is when the Warriors didn't play any defense in this game, they finally started playing a trap defense late in the game to try to trap the Spurs, but it didn't matter. The Spurs were still finding holes in that as well. So, you know what? I mean, I think the bottom line is just the Warriors highly underachieved tonight. I mean, again, yeah, I guess a zone defense, but could be very effective, but there's always ways around a certain defense, whether it's zone, whether it's man, a trap defense even. I mean, again, I don't really have the answers for you there. I just know that the Warriors highly underachieved in this game. They should be ashamed of themselves. I mean, I just think this is a loss where they should be, I mean, again, for lack of a better word, they should be pissed off going on the plane to San Antonio.
What was the mood you sensed from the players? That's one of the huge perks of you being there is reading player reactions, especially because the camera is not always on them, right? So you have a chance to actually watch the players and you can read their expressions. You kind of sense how they're feeling. What was your sense of the players after the game? Was it anger, frustration? Was it disappointment?
I think it seemed more like complacency to me. I mean, I didn't really see them being like super upset, but I saw their kind of heads were kind of down. I mean, obviously they're not happy with losing the game, but I didn't seem like they were really upset though. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what the sense I gathered.
That's disappointing. I was hoping for an answer from you saying they were more emotional, that they cared more.
Well, I don't know, but I mean, okay, again, I mean, again, I can only see so much from where I'm seeing a press row. But what did you see on television? Did you see anything that you saw?
No, I did not. I did not see much of a reaction. In all honesty, they just heads hung low. That's I think
heads hung low. Exactly, that's what I saw. Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't see. I didn't see more than that. And again, the one guy that's going to get a reaction out of this team to fire them up is Draymond. And Draymond didn't even seem like he was all that fired up about it.
I'm glad you brought him up. That's what I was going to lead to. I feel like when Stephen Curry's out, Draymond Green, either he checks out himself or he's just not the same player.
Yeah.
But it doesn't excuse the defense, man. Like
I agree.
And I'm seeing Draymond sag a lot defensively. Like, and that's where we're seeing a lot of these open threes. Is it aging? Is it him just trying to save energy? Like any thoughts on that? If not, if you don't know for sure, at least what's your opinion?
Well, no, I think it's both those things. But I think the bigger problem too is that the Warriors they become too much like spectators out there. I'll use a hockey term. When hockey coaches get mad, you know what they say? There's too many passengers on the bus. And right now, that's what the Warriors are doing. The Warriors are on the passengers on the Steph Curry bus, and Steph Curry is not driving the bus. And neither the other guys, right? The other guys don't want to get in the driver's seat. They're still sitting as passengers out there. And I just don't see that, because they need someone else to step up, right? That's obvious. You know, someone else had to step up tonight. And you're right. Kuminga did his part. And Klay Thompson, for what he was able to do, he did his part too. He had 27 points in under 25 minutes.
Correct.
That's great. But you're right. When you're having that kind of production, why aren't you playing more minutes? I mean, Klay wants more minutes. And in a situation like that, when he's not even hitting 25 minutes and he's got that great of a production, because he had a very productive night, I'm at a loss as to why he didn't play more minutes.
Yeah, I'm right with you. And I'm glad you brought up Klay, because he was one of the few players actually playing good tonight. As you mentioned, 27 points. He was 50% shooting from three. He also went to the free throw line. Again, Kuminga was the only one consistently going to the line. He had 8 free throw attempts tonight, made 6 of them. One of the many things he brings to the table, which is why, again, I don't understand the 12 first half minutes. To me, like Kerr often will reveal who he truly trusts on this team, and he doesn't oftentimes trust the best players on his own roster, and that's ultimately, I think, where a lot of these failings come from. The standings right now, look, man, there's only 19 games remaining. We only got a minute or so to go here, but the Warriors, this loss stung because the Mavericks won. So the Dallas Mavericks are now 2.5 games ahead of the Warriors. The Warriors are now a full game behind the LA Lakers, although they're tied in the loss column. How are you feeling about the Warriors with 19 games to go, Ryan? We'll finish it up there.
I'm not feeling good about it, and I'm kind of wondering I'm kind of wondering how you feel about the fact that Kevon Looney was a DNP for the second game in a row, and there goes his consecutive games played streak because he didn't play in the last game against the Bulls. Why isn't he out there? I mean, I know that like Kerr will always say, "Oh, I'm playing who's working for the rotation right now," but hey, man, unless I'm mistaken, Kevon Looney's good at getting one thing: rebounds. And the Warriors got out rebounded by 10 tonight, and he had none because he wasn't out there. So I don't know what's going on there. But I'll tell you right now, if this continues, and you're asking me what I think of the Warriors doing right now, they're not even going to make the play-in, okay? I don't even see them, because you got to be, top 10 to make the play-in? I don't see that happening. And right now, the Warriors are still in 10th, but barely. I mean, they do have enough of a lead. They're 5 games ahead of the Rockets, but, I mean, come on. I mean,
yeah, they're going to get I'm not worried about the 10 seed, but look, I've said this before and I've said it again, man. And we got people in the chat, for example, like Jay Boogie, who just are the Kerr defenders to the end, who will write a comment like, "You play to win championships, not just be good. No contender in the league is worried about youth." But the conundrum here is
wait, hold on. I saw his comment. I guess I want mediocre. I never said that. Did you say that? Did you say you want
No, he's talking
teams?
to someone else in the chat. But I bring him up and a few others like him simply because they think that the Warriors are contenders with players like Klay and Wiggins. No, if they're contenders, it's because of the youth. They're the only reason why this team's relevant. They're the reason why, like tonight, you had Wiggins and Klay coming off the bench, and the Warriors bench, which has normally been good this year, they're 3rd in the league in net rating, were outscored and beaten by the Spurs bench. It's because the starters are done, with the exception of Steph and Dre. You need the youth. Like this team is irrelevant without the youth. That's where they're at right now. Anyways, we got 30 seconds, Ryan. I'm with you though, man. I think this team can still make noise, but they got to play the right guys. Like, if you're going to start Trace Jackson Davis, commit to him. You know, if you're going to start, you got to commit to the youth, man. It's either you commit to them or you're just going to get losses like this.
Well, not even the youth. If you're going to commit to guys, then Klay Thompson should have played more minutes. And I want to know why Kevon Looney wasn't out there. I'm sorry. He should have played.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Well, I love the fact I love that you joined us from Chase Center. It worked out, brother. You look good.
Well, we should do it again. We should do this again. You know, when the next home game against the Knicks, you know, I'm available, so we should do it. And hopefully, I'll talk to you during the road trip.
Absolutely. We will do this again. I'm going to probably do a show from there myself. Now that I'm seeing that you're doing it, we can just sit side by side.
Sure.
Anyways, tough loss. Ryan Leong. Follow him at Ryan Leong. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back at this soon. Bye-bye.